The next one is titled Debating Missing the First Year of Child's Life to Better Myself. This is written from the husband side. I say the husband side, I rather mean the dad side. So he says, let me just start off by saying I'm not abandoning my kid. I very much cannot wait to be a dad and will 100% be there. And also I'm 31 years old. That said, 6 years ago, I was told I'll never have kids. Surprise, when I found out the girl I was dating ended up pregnant. We ended up splitting because she just wasn't good for me. She never cared about my problems, always made me feel small, and that my issues were never important and my opinions never mattered. She was like this before she became pregnant. Fast forward 7 months, we're very good friends. I've been to every doctor appointment and ultrasound. Just recently, I met a woman who is literally everything I've ever needed and wanted, from personality to looks, literally everything. Only thing is, she lives 12 hours away. The state I live in has a terrible economy and I'm in horrible debt and I can never catch up with how much they pay here. Where she lives, I'll be making literal double what I am here. I'm very much thinking of going there for a year to pay off my debts, fix my credit, and be with the other woman. I would move 5 months after my son is born though. My thought process is I'm going for my happiness, but also going so my finances can be repaired and I could actually afford to give my son everything he needs properly. I'm at a crossroads and any advice would help greatly. Now, this is also another one of those situations where it probably was not the best idea to get pregnant. And I know he says that he was told by doctors that he will never have kids. But you know what? Doctors are quite often wrong when it comes to things like fertility. They will often say, yeah, there's no way that you're going to get pregnant. And then that 1 in a million chance actually ends up happening in your particular situation. 1 in a million is already much, much rarer than the majority of infertile diagnoses that doctors give. So that already sucks. But that already kind of tells me that they probably weren't that careful and they didn't use protection or birth control when they should have. And so she ended up pregnant. And obviously under those circumstances, again, both of them are to blame, especially the woman who has control over her reproduction. Now, what is really rough about this one, it sounds like he actually wants to be an involved dad. And it also sounds to me like he's making excuses for himself for why he could get out of it. It's like my impression from reading it, and maybe this is unfair, but my impression from reading it is that he wants to go chase the woman that he's found because he thinks that she's the woman of his dreams and he really wants to be with her. And I actually understand this as a choice, but I would say that if you have a child coming, then you kind of have responsibility to that child as well. And if he's saying, I'm going to miss the first year of the child's life to better myself, then I would probably say that you're going to miss out on a lot. There's a lot of bonding time there that you're going to miss out on, especially since you currently have a very good relationship with the mother and may be able to have a successful co-parenting relationship together and a really great co-parenting relationship. So that kind of sucks. This is just my impression though. At the very least, if I wanted to move away and I said, for my finances and for my relationship, it would be much, much better if I were to move, then I would still be like, okay, I'm still going to try and visit once a month, once every 2 months, even though it's a whatever level of drive away or whatever type of flight I would need to take. And I would count those expenses as part of my decision to decide to move as well. And this would be a conversation that I would then have with the mother, because I'd sit down with her and be like, okay, these are my current circumstances. I need this period of time, but I still really want to be involved. How can I make sure that I'm still as involved as I can be? How often can I visit? How much time can I spend with the kid? How can we make this work together? Maybe like once out of 3 times or once out of 4 times she can come over with the child instead, and then you still get some time there. This would be my focus if I were really committed to being a good dad and to being an available parent, so not an absent parent. But from his perspective, it sounds like I just want to take off for a year, and then then we'll see. Then I'll come back, and the kid will be 1.5 years old by that point, because he's going to only leave when the kid is 5 months old. Then the kid's going to be 1.5 years old, and now I have to start from scratch in terms of building a relationship with this kid. And I'm not saying it isn't possible to do it. It's definitely better for you to go and come back and try again than it is for you to go and just not bother with the kid anymore. But I'm not sold. I'm not sold that that's how that's going to work out. Some of the comments here. One person says, leaving would be the worst mistake. Man up and be 100% present for your child instead of going to chase a piece of over your flesh and blood. And another person agrees with that. She says, or he says, kind of have to agree the mum is going to do all of this by herself. 5 to 6 hours of a drive means that he's not going to want to visit all that often when it comes down to it, especially if he has a new girlfriend there. Kind of sounds like he's looking for an excuse and a justification to go and do whatever he wants while she handles all of the bills and all of the childcare solo, which is incredibly hard. Frankly, I'd be surprised if she's okay with this too. And I wouldn't expect to pay off debt when you've got a kid to help support in a totally different household several hours away. And so that's definitely one of the questions from the finances side of things, right? There's obviously the move itself is going to cost a bunch because moving is expensive. If he is actually committed to the kid, then presumably he'll be contributing monetarily as well to the child. And then if he's really committed to the kid, then presumably he's going to want to visit him as well. And so all of these things will add up from a financial perspective. Plus the fact that if you're moving to a place with higher salaries, then generally speaking, you're also moving to a place with a higher cost of living, which means your expenses will be up as well. And so really, as far as it seems to me, he's just looking for excuses here. Some other comments, looking for some info here. 6 years ago, you started dating. How long were you together for? How long did you split? Did you both try to work on things? There's a thing called limerence, which I highly recommend you look up. You may not be in love with the mom and she may not be the one, but I wouldn't flip your life for this other woman when you have a baby on the way. And I'm not sure if the finances are just an excuse, to be honest. When your subject line said to better yourself, I thought I'd read something that said working on yourself, not chasing another woman who you think is the one. And maybe it's a little bit unfair to be so critical of him for having this connection with this woman that he wants to pursue. But there's something about the way that he described it where he was like, I think that she's the perfect thing, that everything that I have ever needed or wanted in one person I have found. And that somehow makes it seem like his focus went from, I'm going to be a great dad to my son, to I want this woman. And that's obviously not good. Final comment here, she says, it sounds like you're running away from your responsibility as a father for a girlfriend. Yes, it would be a crappy thing to do, either step up or step out. IMO, in my opinion. The grass isn't always greener. It really has nothing to do with bettering yourself. I think it has everything to do with selfish intentions. I would resent you, and I'd rather you signed over your parenting rights if you're going to abandon your child, especially in the first year and a half of their life, which is when a mom needs support and help the most. That's a no from me. And so I think that this is very much how most mothers would react in this situation. And it seems to me like a shame because he does actually seem like a pretty decent guy. It's impressive to me that he managed to build enough of a good relationship with the mother that he can attend, all the doctor's appointments and ultrasound appointments and so on. And I think I would be so crushingly disappointed at the end of that to then have him go away during when the kid is very, very, very young. So that sucks is also one of those situations in which I would not choose to bring a child into the world if I could have helped it.